it's okay. I think we'll give her another minute or two, please.
Sure, we have a few coming in right now as well.
Robert, we have a quorum if Jennifer's
Yeah.
not on. I don't know if she is or not, but we can go ahead, I think, and get started because we have a quorum.
I was just getting ready to say the same thing. I think we'll go ahead and proceed. And if she needs to hop in a few minutes late, that's perfectly fine. So I was thinking the same thing, Brian. Okay, thank you. Excellent. Okay, good. Good. Okay, thank you so much. So you're good with everyone. Any clarifications on your end, Melissa, or anything that you need? Are you good?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Well, we will move into the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll not go over the rules. I think we're all familiar with those of public comment, but if anyone wishing to speak would just state their name and their and any affiliation to the school. And then Melissa, you may have a queue there. I'm not sure if people are chiming in, but I'll let you either conduct that. And then, basically 3 minutes to speak, and we'll hold you exactly to the second, but that's kind of the guidelines we have. And so we'll open it up. Any public comment? Okay, excellent. Having heard no public comment, as a reminder, there will be a session at the end of the meeting as well for public comment. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that. We'll move into board organizational matters. Melissa.
The only board organizational item I have for the board this afternoon is just that I made a little switch and tried us on the YouTube platform for Greensboro Academy's YouTube page. So a little less traffic than Facebook. Keeps the board in compliance. And so tonight we are live streaming on Greensboro Academy's YouTube page, just FYI.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Management reports, principal report, Mr. Howard.
Yes.
I have
so
it.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Melissa. I appreciate that. So just obviously the biggest thing that's happened of recent is, of course, moving into Plan A operations. So we've been in for just a couple of weeks. I'll give a little bit of an update about how that's going at the end of my report. But other than that, held a virtual prospective parent night, our second one on February 11th. Plan A full density beginning on February 22nd. And let me just say, it has gone. It's an interesting process of getting used to having that many students back in the building, just because it's been nearly a year and since we've had that increased density. However, it's gone remarkably well, very, very smoothly. The students are doing a fantastic job. Morning arrival and dismissal, very good. So couldn't be more pleased with that. And from a management standpoint, symptoms, quarantines, all of those kind of situations are substantially better than they were during our first foray into Plan B or hybrid operation, and certainly even our second time around. So could not be happier with the way things are going thus far. Parent-teacher conferences, we just had them, but once again in a virtual format on February 23rd and 25th. We closed our open enrollment on February 26th, so it's the last business day in February, and we are, it's actually kind of a high water mark for us. We had just a shade over 1,900 applications to process for the year. So we are pretty pleased with that. Greensboro Academy, we are enrolled with 755 students. We're currently seeking to fill one vacant 6th grade spot that we have. So 756 would be the number that we're shooting for. And the virtue for the month of March is encouragement. So One of the things that we do annually and that I report out to our board is a school improvement plan, and just an opportunity for us to take a look at what data that we might have available for us, and then try to make use of that data across a number of different areas. So we make goals for many things. So we can scroll down just a little bit, Melissa. And the first thing we looked at was our staff survey results. So we really take surveys from parents and from staff members twice per year, each of them. The data, and actually, when I was putting this in here, I kind of cut off some of the years that these represent. So just sequentially, it's fall of 2018, then spring 19, fall 19, spring 20, and then the most recent, or the one, the data set that's furthest off to the right, is fall 20, or the beginning of this school year. And you know, as a general rule of thumb, generally numbers in the fall are less, and then by springtime they kind of bounce back up. They tend to vary not so much. This year, actually, we had a whole lot more variance than would normally be the case. And it's kind of an interesting thing. Most specifically, you know, leadership team kind of took a bit of a dip there. A lot of turmoil at the beginning of this year around a number of things, but we're looking to, you know, kind of address that as well. Still, numbers overall remain relatively high, but we really want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the staff members throughout the course of the year and in year over year. So it's data that we kind of take a look at, that the staff actually has had an opportunity to take a look at as well. And then we do some of our planning about, you know, what we can and need to do better. The second tidbit of data is our parent survey. This comes out, we are actually in the middle of a Voice of the Parent survey right now, actually. So if we go down just a little bit further, Melissa. But you can kind of see our historic trends. These represent year-end sort of numbers. But, you know, likelihood to recommend, overall satisfaction with the school. You know, academics have been an area of relative strength, actually, of late. And, you know, school on behavior management system, let me say right now, that would probably be a pretty good one, since we're really managing very few behavioral based numbers. Communication, obviously right now, communication is one of the biggest challenges that we face, and you know, promising moral guidance. So what I would say, and just as kind of a hot off the press update, I really actually do get daily daily feeds about how our current numbers are tracking from a Voice of the Parent survey. And these are things that I really do look at every day. And I certainly look at the comments. Parent comments have really been a wonderful part of what has changed the school over the course of time. I can say that this has been a incredibly challenging year for parents as well. And so like overall satisfaction, you know, at the end of last year was 77%. Currently, it's 58%. So I think it certainly speaks to some of the challenges that we're all facing together. And then academic progress is at 57%. And that's generally one of the areas where we are incredibly high. So it is, the challenges are many based on, you know, the setting that we find ourselves in and kind of the manner with which we're instructing. So I think not only staff, but parents are certainly feeling that. If we move down, Melissa, we can get a snapshot of Greensboro Academy, and this would be just the makeup of our student body. And it's so interesting to see. So Greensboro Academy, of course, we have a completely random lottery. And then within the course of that lottery, obviously sibling preference is granted for those that are accepted. So we expect a little variance over the time. What we found is we're getting a whole lot more diversity at the school, which is fantastic. So you can see percentages, and you can see the percentage change over time. But you know, our Asian subcategory is really growing. Our Black or African American, once again, a very positive trend. If we move down just a scotch, Hispanic has been roughly static, and then moving on down, what we see is kind of a concurrent drop in the number of white or Caucasian. So our school is becoming increasingly diverse over over the course of time. And actually, I anticipate that trend to continue and accelerate just because of the sibling preference process. So it was kind of funny during my early years here, we had families that would choose to leave Greensboro Academy just because of the lack of diversity that was here. And now we are truly becoming an incredibly diverse school. So then we get into the state testing information, and I'll present out to the board my academic school improvement plan goals. Here's the interesting part about this. The data, we try to look at as current data as we have. We're really looking at data from 2017-18 and 2018-19, if for no other reason than we did not take state testing at the end of the 2019-20 school year. So this is, in fact, the most recent data that we have to work with. And, you know, just from a general sense, mathematics, we were, as a school, 92% proficient during the last year that we were able to take that test. And then if we're moving on down, reading 86%, and then science 95%. So some really outstanding academic results. You know, last year we were, because it was 2020, we were making a run for the 2020 goal, which was 90% reading, 90% mathematics, and 90% science. And we had 2 out of the 3 that we felt pretty strongly about. We were really hoping to make a run for the reading piece as well, to kind of round out that. I mean, we never really had the opportunity. And just by way, and none of this is necessarily set in stone yet. So we're waiting on a little bit of clarity, but it would appear that Greensboro Academy in grades 3 through 8 will in fact take the state assessment, the EOGs or EOCs, at the end of the year. They must be delivered in person. What appears to not be the case is that there's a 95% participation requirement. I think that will be waived this year. And I also think that the scores will not count towards state accountability. So while we will get the data, the school will not receive a letter grade. And once again, I think those are all probable, but we're waiting on final word on that, or those particular issues. So I will keep the board aware as we wind up into the school year. So I would also simply just say I'm going to strongly encourage our families. We'll make it as safe as possible to come in and complete the testing. We really want the data, if for no other reason than to try to plan for next year and to look for areas where we can better support our students, not only over the summer, but as we hit the ground running next school year. We'll see what we can do to make that happen. And then the last tidbit of data that I was going to show is just it's a little bit in-depth look at some of our student subgroups and overall proficiency levels. And once again, this is grades 3 through 8. We don't necessarily have an N count or number of students. You can kind of see some of the variance that we have there. And really what we're always trying to do is make sure that, we reduce variance and try to increase the numbers. So moving right along, I threw in a couple of operational considerations at the end of this. One of them is just an update to our board specifically about middle school operation. And this is an area where I've had a number of families actually reach out to me just for clarification. So Governor Cooper, at least at this stage, has not issued any additional executive orders. So he had certainly clearly, and we discussed this at our last board meeting, had expressed a desire for in-person instruction and really a call to action on this end of schools to be able to do that. However, the only thing that I think the biggest constraint is, without a new executive order, what allowed us to bring our kindergarten through 5th grade students in was in fact the lessening of the distance requirement. So in order to have, in many of our classes, we have say between 18 and 21 students. In order to have that many students in the physical space that we have available, 6 foot was not a possibility. And so lessening that allowed us to bring students in the density that we could. Until that actually is changed for middle school and issuing a new executive order of the same nature, it would be, really physically impossible for us to get to get a full density of our students in the space that we have available to us as we currently stand. Now, it's kind of funny. I don't have any word on when and if a new executive order or additional guidance will be put in place from Governor Cooper, but we continue to scan the horizon and see when and if that will be made available. But what I think our biggest constraint now is, of course, just the physical space that we have in the capacity when limited by the 6-foot distancing. So, and then the other thing, just for consideration on the board's end of thing, would be our operation in the week after spring break. The way that we currently are standing is that the Monday that we return, and I believe, well, I don't believe, that is April 5th, is a remote learning day. That actually is the day after Easter Sunday. And then our normal operation would begin after that. I do know that some districts have chosen to go into remote status after spring break week, simply to mitigate some of the risks associated by travel and COVID-19. So then moving on down, enrollment 755, I said that already. There's just one under, and we're certainly looking to fill that. Encouragement, the virtue for the month. Greensboro Academy is fully staffed. And actually, over the last couple of years, we have hired a teacher in residence or TIR. This year, we're granted 2 TIRs, so we will hire those. And essentially, that is just pre-filling essentially spots. So, we might hire a couple of K through say 6 instructors that if a vacancy became available, they would then slide into that and assume that role. So actually just spoke with my sourcing consultant yesterday, and we are in the process of looking for applicants and holding interviews. So then looking just slightly further down the road, we'll complete our 3rd quarter on the 19th, and Greensboro Academy will begin our 4th quarter on the 22nd. We're also going to have another survey opportunity for families, and that should go out tomorrow. So we'll give our kindergarten through, well, actually it'll be K through 8, but our kindergarten through 5th specifically an opportunity to choose again between fully remote or the full in-person operation plan A. As we have that. And Teacher Appreciation Week will be coming up. Boosters, that's just actually next week, so we're looking forward to that. And spring break is just around the corner, March 20th, 29th through April 2nd. And then I also put in the 5th grade was a virtual or remote learning day after the completion of spring break. And that is the conclusion of my report.
Excellent report, Doug, as always. Thank you so much for that. Just a quick clarification from my part. So if we look at the week after spring break, yes. I believe we technically would only be losing 3 in-person days if we throw out Wednesday and then, of course, Monday being the remote day. Is that right? If the board chooses to decide for that week to be fully remote?
That is correct. The 5th was a remote learning day, and that was it was a mandate this year when we were constructing our schedules that we had 5 remote learning days built into the schedule, or into our master calendar rather. And yes, so that is what that Friday represents. And then correct, as it currently stands, the 6th, the 8th, and the 9th would be in-person instruction days. That's correct.
Gotcha. Any board members?
Like Robert.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and say, it seems like, Doug, hearing everything you've said, first of all, thank you for an excellent report. And, I'm glad to see that we're getting more diversity in the school, because we all know that's what makes the world go around. So having a more diverse setting, students learn from each other, they learn from their backgrounds. And so thank you, Doug, and your staff for working hard on trying to get more people to apply to the lottery system. So thank you for that. And I think, remote, as I'm thinking through it, remote might be good for us to consider, just considering that people are going to be traveling and other things, and just giving time with the virus. That might be something we really look at hard as we go into discussion. So I wanted to throw that out there, because I know other school districts are thinking about that as well. So it might be something we really look at hard. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you so much, and staying on that topic, I tend to agree. I think that given the fact that we're essentially looking at 3 days of that impact versus the kind of the safe play of being able to, just make sure we don't jump into something and then, ultimately wish we had gone remote that week. So I could agree with that. Brian, any questions or comments from Tiffany or Jennifer on that topic?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I will also, so just as a note, if we do indeed move that, I believe, Melissa, into an action item, we would need to add that as item C on the action items, which we can get to later in the agenda. But don't let me forget if we choose to do that. Melissa, I'll be sure to add that in there. Okay, thank you. Brian also stole my thunder on one thing, which he often does. I got to be quicker to the punch on that. I don't want the diversity piece to go unrecognized. That's something that this board and previous boards for this school have always really tried to focus on, and really kind of just scratched our heads for a number of years trying to figure out, how can we have such a great school. I mean, in so many ways, that's not disputed by anyone. We always wanted to try to figure out how we could become more diverse, and things we can do, and there's not a lot obviously with the lottery, but we can try to make it attractive and kind of increase those numbers for application to the lottery. But Brian's exactly right. I mean, to see those numbers going in that direction and hopefully to continue in that direction, it's just incredibly important. Doug, I remember having difficult conversations with families, loving so much about Greensboro Academy, but just really wrestling with that piece and whether or not it was the best fit for them. And I'm so glad to see us going in that direction, and there's still more movement to go. So just didn't want that to go unrecognized. Certainly really glad to see that. So thank you so much for that. All right, any other board member questions for Principal Howard before we move on? All right, Melissa, I think you're on mute, Melissa. Board fund report.
I'm sorry, Robert.
I'm sorry.
You want me to share your SIP for 21-22 real quick?
Yep, my academic goals. Yes,
sir.
Would be happy to do so. So, and this will
you.
kind of round out essentially some of the discussion about their academic goals. So the background is really what we've all been living for just about a year now, right? So we finished the end of last school year, fully remote and I think through no one's error, but we were just not really necessarily prepared to wind up a school year. So we did the best that we could with what we had available to us. We began this school year with, a fully remote period for 6 weeks, a little bit of hybrid, some more fully remote, hybrid, and only recently have we come back in Plan A operations for our kindergarten through 5th grade. So there's a lot of headwinds there. We were making our way through. So I think one of the the benefits, we began this school year, however, making sure that all of our students had a Chromebook. That will continue, I believe, into next school year as well. So in getting a hotspot, so connectivity really became the issue, but also really just trying to figure out this crazy thing called education in 2021. So given all of that, my goals, normally we think of an advancement goal, like, for example, in 1819 and then 1920, we were really looking to focus in on reading and make sure that we did everything we possibly could to advance reading so that we could hit that 2020 mark or get 90% proficiency in reading. This year, I'm calling it a maintenance goal, actually. So with all of really the 1819 proficiency levels, and then for 2021, and goodness only knows if we're actually really going to get this data. But I felt like it was, a plus or minus 2, and that's, normally I think maintenance or we think advancement. Maintenance seems appropriate, and frankly, to be completely honest, maintenance almost seems like an advancement goal right now, just because of the way that we've been operating for the last bit. But why not set the bar high? And so we took our previous year's marks, or the last marks that we had, and then I just went plus or minus 2%. So we'll see where that kind of rests out. But that seemed like an appropriate goal, and I hope that is. I hope we're able to achieve it. Actually, if not this year, then certainly next year. We're going to really continue to make a run for that in 90s across the board and see what we can do. And that's basically the entire goal, plus or minus 2.
Great, thank you, Doug, for that. My apologies for the oversight there with the improvement plan goals. Any board member questions for Doug based on the school improvement plan goals? All right, excellent. I like the plan in place, Doug. Very, very well done. Let's see, board fund report, Melissa, I believe.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a little over 46,000, almost 47,000 for any future resolutions. It looks like the playground addition has been allocated for, and there are just a few items on that second page there, but almost about 47,000 in the available balance at this time.
Great. Thank you. Questions on the board fund report for Melissa or otherwise? All right, thank you for that. Holly Winslow, Booster Leadership Team.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. Just a few things. One, as Mr. Hauer already mentioned, the boosters are up and running, and our wonderful staff relations chair, Rachel, has worked extremely hard to get lunch covered each day for the teachers and make sure that the parents have the opportunity to show our great appreciation for this very hard, weird year. So I'm thankful to her for that and looking forward to a great Teacher Appreciation Week next week. Our elementary and middle school committees are both working on brainstorming some ideas for either socially distanced off-school activities and or virtual things to kind of give kids extra time to connect and do some fun things. And we've gotten a couple of really fun suggestions from parents. So I look forward to seeing what can be worked out there. That should be fun. And then last week, 2 weeks ago, was our February Chick-fil-A Spirit Night, which was fun as always. And we have 3 more of those this year. And that will be the extent of our fundraising for the year. And that's all I have.
All right, great. Thank you for that. Good luck with that fundraising effort. Questions for Holly from the board?
No questions, just a simple comment. Outstanding as always.
Thank you, Ms. Tiffany. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Appreciate all the work you guys do. Certainly, Rachel, and I know that's certainly not an easy task by any means. So we certainly, on behalf of the board, recognize that, and I want to show our appreciation to Rachel and to you and the entire booster team. So thank you so much, Holly. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the parent board report. Dr. Clarita, anything from your end? I'll take that as no. All right, and we'll move on to the discussion items. Second quarter financial statements. Any questions on those? Obviously, those are included in your board packet beginning on page 7. Melissa, I don't know if you had anything to comment on those. I know Jeff Ratuzny does a great job always of kind of putting those together and answering any of our questions, but any board member comments or questions on the financial statements in your board packet? Melissa, the only thing I had that again may be more of a question for Jeff, and I don't know if you have been involved in some of the discussions, but just the revenue number oftentimes is a timing issue. certainly understand that. Any COVID-related impact that you've heard of from a funding standpoint that would impact the balance sheet or the revenue side of the financial statement, or does it seem that from that regard everything kind of still on track and we feel good about that? But I guess more from an NHA standpoint.
Yes, good question. Actually, we are on track, and everything looks great. I think the biggest thing that Jeff has shared within the last 2 weeks regarding our budgets and the impact of COVID is just that other additional grants are coming out of the new administration regarding COVID and regarding getting kids back into classrooms across the country. So our grants team, intervention team, curriculum team, and of course the finance team are working diligently, making sure that we apply for those different grant funds and that we find and allocate monies that principals and schools will utilize, not just getting the money just to get it. So want to make sure that it's impactful for our students and school communities. So if anything, there's just more coming our way, I guess you could say.
Good. Thank you for that. Keep us posted on any type of delays or impacts to the revenue source, grants or otherwise from the aid that we get from the state, and as you guys always have. So thank you for that. And
sure,
that's good
absolutely.
to hear. So appreciate that. How's Jeff doing, by the way, Melissa?
He is doing well. He's doing well right now. He's an amazing guy. I know Doug would attest to this. He's just a great person, but doing well. Good. Please pass on from our board the well wishes to him and that we said hello. I sure will. Thank you. 2021 National Charter School Conference, Melissa. I think set for the summer, right? June, maybe? Yes, June 20th through the 23rd are the dates for the National Charter School Conference. It will be virtual. And if there are any members of Principal Howard's leadership team that would like to attend, or any board members that would like to attend, we would just need to allocate the funds to do so, preferably before the end of April. So we have this board meeting and the April meeting to decide, because I'd just like to get everyone registered on or before May 1st. And it will count as board development for the board, of course. And Dr. Clarita, FYI, you are on mute if you wanted to share. I just wanted to make sure you knew.
I'm thinking there may be a possible disconnect with Dr. Clarita. I'm
Is that not?
He's on, but I don't know if he's connected well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Okay.
Maybe he can dial in or jump back on. We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Melissa,
thank you for that. Go ahead, Jennifer.
For the meetings this summer, June 20th to the 23rd, is that an all-day event?
Let me look. Good question.
Yeah, I had a similar question too. I didn't know if we could attend for even part of that. I see the cost there, I think, is $125. So certainly would love to attend at least the sessions that I could.
Do you see any times on that form? I don't know.
I don't
either. I can find out for you all, but I don't see any time.
It actually notes detailed schedule to be determined. So they may not have come out with that yet. But yeah, obviously we've got another month to look at that. So maybe we can look at that next board meeting. I'd love for several of us to be as many as possible be able to make that some of those sessions anyway, if possible.
I kicked off.
Hey, Brian.
Sorry, I think I got kicked off. I'm back on.
No worries. We didn't kick you off.
Have to love technology.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Going back to anything, Brian, that may have missed. Did you have any, financials or before the school conference, anything, Brian? Questions for
I
me?
didn't. I could hear you all,
Okay.
but it wouldn't let me say anything. So no, I'm good with
Gotcha.
everything.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you. Apologies. I see I skipped over 8B, Form 990. So that's just obviously part of the financial statement's already been signed and executed, can be
Right.
found on page 20. So I don't know if anybody had any questions about that. Basically, the 501c3 tax exempt status is more of an informational return as much as anything. It doesn't have any impact on taxes for our nonprofit entities. So but that is part of the is part of the items. Did you have anything on that, Melissa? Any more to add?
Nope, that was perfect.
Okay.
Exactly what you said. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. It's not nearly as exciting as the name implies, Form 990, but it's a necessity. So thank you for that. Administrative Professionals Week.
So that's
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's just coming up April 19th through the 23rd, and this is just our friendly reminder to our partner boards that we do issue, of course, high five points to all office administrators and registrars during that beautiful week of Administrative Professionals Week, where they can either use those points towards the purchase of a gift card or a gift of their choosing. It's always nice for them to hear from our board members with a little note or email, text message, flowers, just how much they're appreciated and hold down all things at Greensboro Academy. So that's coming up April 19th through the 23rd.
That's great. Doug, remind me, I know we've done some things in the past, I think that were well received and should be able to recall. But the high five points, I think we've done kind of a variety of things, but what we really want to do as a board is whatever, I think I can speak for the entire board, is whatever's most, whatever's received the best from the staff. So anything that, any recollection on that or kind of what we've done or what was kind of went over well last year?
So I believe for the last 2 years, so generally speaking, the board has chosen to lump all of our staff together. So whereas National Heritage has Administrative Professionals Week, and then Teacher Appreciation Week is within that NHA is May 3 through the 7th. So we generally partner with the boosters, and that's going to be next week, actually. What the board has chosen to do over the last couple of years is put in high five points for all of the staff members at one time. And obviously, we can do that. That's as simple as the board making a motion to execute that. And then high five points, just for sake of kind of talking what that could be. It really can almost be anything that a staff member would choose. We have a high five on an account, and you can get gift cards, or you can actually go shopping online and utilize your high five points to access other materials. So I know plenty of our staff members have utilized that either for gift cards or there was a Fitbit that was purchased fairly recently, those kind of things. So you can get pretty much anything you might want.
Right. So yeah, I remember that being. I felt like that was well received from everyone. What generally is it? I know you said we usually just kind of lump that in together. Is that? I know the April 19th obviously is what we're looking at. And you said May is the Teacher Appreciation Week. Is that right?
That is correct. The NHA Teacher Appreciation Week is May 3 through 7.
Okay. I think in the past we've sort of done that in conjunction with the dates that lined up to the Teacher Appreciation Week, if I remember correctly.
Your recollection is better than mine on this one. I don't.
And Doug, I would say whatever we do, let's make sure we really, and I know you will, you've always done a great job, but especially this year with COVID, let's make sure we really show, everyone how much we appreciate them, because we couldn't have done it without them. And they've just been troopers and hung in there and done an excellent job, and just been there for our kids, which is so important even in times of crisis. So I really want us to make sure we really celebrate them, and I know you will.
All right, that sounds great. I will report out to you all at our next meeting what my ideas might be.
That sounds great. I had the same thought. I'm going to go back and to last year as well and just sort of see, just to kind of get an idea, because I agree with Brian. I'd love to, every year is important. This year's been important and challenging, to say the least. So I would love to really make an impact with that. So yeah, I think it sounds like we've got time at our April 13th meeting to kind of finalize that, if that's okay. All right, and that any questions for Doug? That kind of spilled over into discussion item E for the Teacher Appreciation Week. Any board member questions about that for either Melissa or Doug? Okay, excellent. Item number 9, we're moving into the action items. We have an approval of the February 8th board meeting minutes, which hopefully everyone's had a chance to read and review. Approval also of the board funds for the National Charter Schools Conference, which I think what we've done in the past generally is just approve the funds, and then obviously unused funds go back into the board fund. So I think unless there's objection to that, Melissa will do the same here with that. And hopefully we'll be able to, maybe the virtual aspect will allow for a little more participation. I think that would be great. And then ultimately the additional item that I'd like to toss out. I know we had discussed the spring break week. Any board member thoughts or comments on that week following spring break to move? I know we've had a little discussion already, but to move that week as fully remote.
Robert, I'll just quickly state again that I'm definitely in favor of making it remote after having more time to consider it since we first brought it up at the beginning of the meeting. I'm definitely in favor of making that week remote.
Got it. Thank you, Brian. Anyone else on that? Yeah, I think I would agree. I think that's a kind of a conservative, safe play, and given the fact that it's again impactful to 3 days, I think would be a good direction to go in. Okay, before we get a motion, in which action item C would need a little clarity for, but any other questions on the action items, or do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve action items A and B as presented, and then C would be the week following spring break to be fully remote. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Thank you, Tiffany. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? And the action items pass. Thank you so much. Public comment, the second session of our public comment portion of the meeting. Again, basically rules similar or the same to our first session. So we'll open it up to public comment. Melissa, I'll kind of let you steer that a little bit if we can, please.
Okay. I have Jenna Steelman.
Hi.
Hi, Jenna, go ahead.
Right. Okay. First, I just do want to thank everybody for the hard work they put in. My kids have loved being back in school. So one just comment for the board, we would really appreciate it as parents if these items that you're going to vote on would be talked about prior to your voting, so we could actually maybe influence your voting, especially with the after spring break going virtual. I knew just that this might be a consideration, but a couple things that I would have said would be that the teachers are going to be fully vaccinated by then. That's a huge consideration. We want to keep our teachers safe. Well, they've been vaccinated. So I think that should have been a consideration. The other thing being that I kept hearing like, it's just 3 days. Well, when you're both working parents and you're outside the home, just 1 day is a lot. So I just would ask maybe if there's an agenda we can read beforehand. Maybe I've missed that, just so that we can be prepared with public comments prior to the discussion, because we're kind of left out of it after that. And the other thing would just be like, you know, where's this data coming from that we need to be home? You know, people are out gathering. The CDC just said, if you've been vaccinated, you can gather. It seems like, I don't know that there was a lot of, sorry, my phone just went out. I don't know how much consideration was put into this. So again, just maybe letting us know before these meetings.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your comments and for joining the meeting today. Anyone else, public comment?
I'm sorry, was that someone?
Yes, I'm trying to raise my hand, but I don't know how to do that. I'm
That's
sorry.
Okay. Julie Jorgensen?
Yes, my name is Julie Jorgensen. I have a little girl in 1st grade, and I have one in 3rd grade and one in 6th grade. And I would just ask that, first of all, you guys are amazing. We love Greensboro Academy. Thank you all for everything. Plan A for my 2 youngers is going fantastic. So thank you all. And I wanted to see if the board would consider allowing fully vaccinated, meaning both vaccines and showing proof of both vaccines in at least 2 weeks after your 2nd vaccine, of allowing some parent volunteers to help just take a little bit of the load off of the teachers. I don't really have anything specific in mind. I was just, whatever we can be helpful with, I would just ask that would be considered.
Great, thank you for that and for offering that. I think that's a really intriguing point and certainly worth considering. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Public comment? Anyone else? Okay, well, that will conclude the portion of public comment. I do want to say that I really appreciate both of those comments. Certainly great points for us to consider in general, and great ideas. We always welcome that. We certainly make every effort as a board to try to listen and take action, certainly where we can, and really put a lot of emphasis on those comments and trying to deliver where we can on those. So thank you so much for both of those. We'll move it to board member comments. Before we do, I would just to clarify a couple things. And again, largely the board member comments are just that, or just comments. But I do want to, since we only had 2 today, I would like to just to ask Melissa, if you don't mind, just sort of clarify. Sometimes we get in a rhythm and a routine and kind of forget that not everyone's been involved in board meetings for a long time. So can you just remind us real quick again about the posting and the agenda, where to find that, please, Melissa?
Absolutely, no problem. So since our partner boards, all their documents and their meetings are of public record and are always housed on the school's website. So if you go to Greensboro Academy's school website, you can find the notice of posting for all board meetings for the entire school year, as well as it also being posted somewhere near the front door of the school when we would have board meetings in person. And also on that board page, which will connect you a few links to the board portal for Greensboro Academy, has all the board minutes, all the board information about each of the board members who are volunteers. Thank you, board. And all minutes in chronological order. So again, these meetings are public meetings of the board of Greensboro Academy, and they are open to the public. They are live streamed to the public when not in person, so that the board and the school remain in compliance. And the agendas are posted as well. Normally 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours prior to the board meeting. So you can visit the website, check out everything, read everything, just like those beautiful and handsome board members do, and come to the meetings prepared if you so choose.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that, Melissa. And Doug also, I was just going to say, if you are willing to speak a little bit to the possibility from the parent vaccine volunteering standpoint, I think certainly the thought and the idea there is fantastic in terms of trying to provide some relief. Any comments on that?
Actually, I'm in complete favor. I just want to, so I made a note for myself, actually just about both of the comments. So I would be more than happy to send out the agenda to all of our families. I've taken over the last, well, 2 meetings actually, just to sending the information link. But I could easily, with the email system that we have that goes out every Sunday, on the Sunday before, I would be more than happy to include the agenda with that as well. It's really not, I think that would streamline the process as opposed to having to, access it via other routes. So I would be happy to do that. And then specifically, it's kind of funny. I've looked into the issue of having parent volunteers, and I've kind of hit a few roadblocks, but I do think that there's some new CDC guidelines out there that might open some pathways for us. So what I'll do is actually I'll loop this around to National Heritage to see what guidelines they can give us and what parameters the board might have, and I'll report out to you hopefully within the next 48 hours just to see what we can or cannot do. But I mean, honestly, the move into Plan A has been wonderful. I happen, I see the kids getting to come in every morning and leave at the end of day. It's been outstanding. And to have parents be able to come back into the building would be just another step towards, where I would love Greensboro Academy to be operating. So our teachers could use it. The students would love it. And frankly, I would hope the parents would really look forward to that opportunity as well. It would be great to have them return. So let me see what I can find out.
Great. Thank you for that. Appreciate those comments. Board member comments. Open it up to any board members.
I just want to thank Doug for rocking out so hard, man. Great job, Doug. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tiffany. Anyone else? All right, heard no other board member comments. Really appreciate everyone's participation today and joining us for the board meeting. Need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Melissa, Doug, and board and parents. Great meeting. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Take
you all.
care.
Likewise.